Nanti bunyi kalau dia udah ngerekam.
Ah, betul. Nanti bunyi. Please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Good evening, my friends. Thank you for joining this presentation. Okay, today's topic is about self-monitoring. But before jumping to the topic, let me introduce myself and my partner first. My name is Rani Zahra, and then my partner is Rahmatia, Meylani, Habie. Okay, now let me. The first material will be delivered by Rahmatia, Habie. The time's yours, but yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the. Wait a second, let me. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present my contents, which is about the nature of self-monitoring and the purpose and benefits of self-monitoring itself. Can we please move to the next slide, Mbak Rahel? The third slide, please. Okay, thank you. So, in teaching development, teachers are able to make such judgments based on information they collect about their own teaching. This step could be done in self-monitoring. Since self-monitoring or self-observation is intended for this purpose and refers to activities in which information about one's teaching is documented or recorded in order to review or evaluate teaching. Based on the definition of self-monitoring itself, it refers to a systematic approach to the observation, evaluation, and management of one's own behavior in order to achieve a better understanding and control over the behavior. This is based on Armstrong and Ford, 1984, Koziol and Burns, 1985. So, self-monitoring is based on the view that in order to better understand one's teaching and one's own strength and weaknesses as a teacher. For example, when I have to do a presentation in front of my classmates or in lecture, I often practice in front of a mirror, or sometimes I record it. As a way to understand my strength and my weakness during presentation takes place. It is similar to self-monitoring in teaching. As a teacher, this step is needed in order to better understand our teaching, strengths, and weaknesses in developing our teaching skill. Besides, after knowing what is exactly the self-monitoring itself, we come to the purpose and benefits of self-monitoring. The first one is it can help to provide an objective account of one's teaching. Discussing about the purpose and benefit, the first thing that will be beneficial for us is that it can help to provide an objective account of one's teaching. In providing an objective account of one's teaching, it allows to make a record of teaching that he or she can use for a variety of purposes. The second purpose and benefit is it can help teachers better understand their own instructional practices, and make decisions about practices they are not aware and that they are not aware of and might wish to change. Next is that it can help teacher develop a more reflective view of teaching. That is to move from a level where they are guided largely by impulse, intuition, or routine to a level where actions are guided by reflection and self-awareness. And the last one is it can help teachers to initiate improvement in teaching practices. I think that's all. For example, the teacher may not realize that explanations are not always very clear, that sometimes things are over-explained, that the teacher talks too quickly at times, that many students do not pay attention during the lesson, or that the teacher tends to dominate the lesson and not give students sufficient opportunity to participate. By knowing this, that we can improve our teaching skills and initiate an improvement in the teaching itself. I think that's all for my material. The next material, which is about procedures and implementation, will be explained by my friend Rani Zahra.
Thank you so much, Tia, for giving me the time. Okay, jumping to the next slide, which is about procedures used in self-monitoring. There are three procedures used in self-monitoring. They are lesson reports, and then audio recording a lesson, and the last one is video recording a lesson. So, in the lesson reports, um, so the teacher after taught the materials and then records as many important details as the teacher can remember, but not all of the aspects cannot be recalled, such as the number of times students use a particular item of language or the variety of question types the teacher used during the lesson. But there are some aspects can be recalled, such as the extent to which activities and materials were relatively successful or not, the purchase the teacher made from the lesson plan, and the sequence of activities used during the lesson. And then, what the lesson report includes evaluation, because in a lesson report, it may include evaluation. So when a lesson report includes evaluation, the focus is on questions such as the following: what aspects of the lesson work well, and then what aspect of the lesson did not work particularly well, and then why, and then what aspect of the lesson should be done differently next time. So lesson report can be divided by two. The first one is written narrative. Okay, in the written narrative, sometime after the lesson has been completed, the teacher writes a report of what happened in the lesson. This report can be both descriptive and reflective. Okay, in the descriptive part, summary is made of what happened during the lesson without commenting. But in the reflective part, the teacher critically reviews what happened and comments on what could be improved or what can be learned from the lesson. Okay, here's the vignette from the teacher here. Uh, the teacher teach a course called English for International Communication for officials from the Indochina countries. As a warm-up of the topic, the students, 5 each from Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, were to compare the effects of recent economic reforms in the three countries on the foreign investment climate in each place. Some of the students are more familiar with the topic, but the teacher separated them by country. and then the teacher monitor and then support them where necessary. This the discussion lasts about 20 minutes. And then today, students were mixed into 5 groups of 3. So each group would contain one student from each of the 3 countries. And then the students exchange their views based on the notes they have made. And then this discussion lasted about 30 minutes. After that, summarize the students' answer to the discussion question and provide a final opportunity for student question or teacher feedback. This one is lasted about 15 minutes. So in the written summary, you can see here evaluation. The first one, things that work well, and then things that did not work well. In the things that work well, most of the students seem able and willing to share information about the topic with their classmates. The information gap was real and relevant. Yesterday's group discussion successfully helped prepare those who are less knowledgeable about the topic to contribute to today's discussion. And then it also helped boost the confidence of those with expertise in the topic area. The teacher happy with the way had grouped the students, balancing gender, background knowledge of the topic, language proficiency, and group work skills. Therefore, all of the students gain new information. And then the things that did not work well, uh, the teacher here said that I had forgotten to arrange the students group. Several minutes were wasted while I did this in the class. Next time, I will be better prepared. A couple of the students were not very interested in or informed about the topic. Some of them are less participatory. Okay, the next one is checklist and questionnaire. Okay, checklists or questionnaires can cover the overall structure of lesson or just focus on a particular aspects of a lesson, but it depends on the teacher's interest. For example, a checklist that covers the overall structure of lesson include items related to the lesson opening and closing, the main activities of the lesson, the amount of time spent on teacher-led activities and group activities. Uh, and then a checklist that focuses on one aspect of the lesson, such as pronunciation, include items related to the amount of time spent on pronunciation work, kind of pronunciation activities in the lesson, and pronunciation difficulties that were identified. So, we found that questionnaires are often best developed collaboratively by a group of teachers who are interested in monitoring their teaching in order to review and share their findings. Okay, but in most cases, it is necessary to adapt a published checklist to suit the specific type of class a teacher is monitoring. In our experience, checklists or questionnaires can be quickly and provide a more detailed account of lesson than might appear in written narrative. The next one for procedures in self-monitoring is audio recording lesson. The purpose of making a recording of a lesson is to identify aspects of one's teaching that can only be identified through real-time recording. Teachers do not often have the opportunity to hear or see themselves teach. When the teachers listen to an audio or video recording of one of their lessons, uh, they put the comments like, I didn't realize I have the annoying habit of saying is that right all the time. I seem to speak far too quickly a lot of the time. No wonder students have difficulty understanding me. And then I don't give the students much of a chance to speak. I need to do less talking. Okay, in the audio recording, we have steps here. The first one is making the recording and then reviewing the recording. In the making the recording, this is provide a reasonably audible recording of the teacher's voice. So in audio record, we can make several ways. For example, a cassette recorder and then a tape recorder with portable microphone attached to the teacher's clothing can also be used. So there is two ways can be made for making the recording an audio record. The first one is cassette recorder, and then the second one is a tape recorder with a portable microphone. Okay, the presence of the cassette recorder and the knowledge that the lesson is being recorded will influence the dynamics of the lesson, resulting in a lesson that is not really typical or representative. Okay, Freeman give some sensible advice concerning audio taping lessons. Check the level of a background noise first. Use more than one recorder for group activities. And if the teacher plans to transcribe a lesson, anticipate about 3 to 4 hours of time to transcribe an hour of class time. Okay, the next one is reviewing the recording. In most cases, it will be sufficient to listen to the recording of the lesson as many times as necessary. In some cases, it may also be useful to make a written transcript of the lesson, because it can be shared with your friends if necessary. For example, if the teacher is part of a group of teachers who are interested in comparing their teaching styles, it is easier to share written accounts of lessons than to listen to each other's cassettes, which could be very time consuming. We know that, right? However, making a transcript of a lesson can take a large amount of time, as already noted. Okay, the next one is video recording lesson. This is the last procedures in self-monitoring. The best record of a lesson is a video because it provides a much more accurate and complete record than a written or audio recording. But in preparing to videotape a lesson, the following questions need to be considered. Like, who will do the videotaping? So there are several possibilities for videotaping the lessons. The teacher could ask colleagues or students or technicians, or a video camera could be set up and simply turned on. Right? And then question number 2, what should be included in the video? Okay, it could be the lesson. A decision will have to be made concerning what the focus of the video will be. It could be the lesson as a whole or a particular aspect of the lesson, such as teacher-student interaction or student performance of a lesson activity. If someone filming the lesson for the teacher, that person will need to be properly briefed on what the teacher is looking for. So here, as you can see, vignette for video recording lesson. Can you see on the screen? The next slide, Mbak, is vignette for. Yes, thank you. As you can see here, I benefited from using the video for self-monitoring almost immediately. Thus, I could revise the lesson plan as I go. Videos of my classes have made me aware of some bad habits that I have developed over time. and watching them helped me attempt to address these problems that I might have missed had I not videotaped my classes. For example, as a result of viewing videotapes of my classes over time, I found that I had developed a restless pacing pattern when I teach. As for the actual physical use of video, I realized that although learners are certainly affected by the intrusion of a camera, this can be mitigated by bringing a camera on numerous occasions, which I did. I also realized that another option could be camera technicians, or you can ask the students if you don't have an operator. Okay, the next one is next slide, please. Thank you for suggestion. Yes, thank you. Okay, here as you can see on the screen, uh, this is according to PAC uh, 1987. This is the applied to the use of video as a way of making a record of students' performance during particular tasks in order to document students' progress throughout a course. The first one is film a typical classroom activity near the beginning of the course. Okay, this could be a pair work task in which students interview each other, or it could be a role play activity. The second one is after filming, keep a record of each pair of students and where they appear on the tape. Next one is repeat the procedure several times. And then the last one is use the video to monitor the progress of individual students throughout the course. Okay, the next one is reviewing the video. Okay, according to Freeman, 1998, page 56 to 57 suggests when reviewing a video, you should following questions like, what question do you have about your teaching as you watch your students learning in this lesson? Uh, or what puzzles you about what you see? What are you unsure of? And then what aspect of the students' learning do you want to better understand? So here's the following question that you should keep in mind. Then jump to next materials about implementing self-monitoring. This is the strategies that the teacher and the course coordinator can use in order to arrive at a level of self-awareness of the strengths and weaknesses of individual teachers in an organization. The first one is self-affirmation and assurance. Teaching can be a difficult and at times threatening activity. Like each new groups of students poses challenges, as does teaching a new course. Although teachers always find things about themselves they would like to improve, most do many things, and self-monitoring is a relatively stress-free way of determining what those things are. The results can help develop the teacher's sense of confidence and help reinforce a positive view of oneself as a teacher. The next is identification of problems. As a result of self-monitoring, a teacher might find evidence of problem that he or she was unaware of. For example, the teacher might discover that some students do not enter into activities enthusiastically, or students tend to shift to their native language during group work. Once a problem has been identified, the teacher can begin to examine in it more detail and try out strategies for addressing it. And then this can lead to observation of other teachers' classes to see if other teachers have the same problem. The next one is areas for improvement. Uh, Self-monitoring can help to identify areas for improvement. Once these are identified, teacher can decide what to do about them. For example, if teacher observes that many students are not very motivated during lessons, he or she might consider working with another teacher in a peer coaching relationship. So finally, in a summary, self-monitoring a sample of one's lesson is a good starting point in planning personal professional development because it can be used to identify issues that might later be further explored through peer coaching, action research, or in a support group. It was well worth the effort. A useful target is to monitor one or two lessons every semester or every time the teacher teaches a new group of students. This also may involve audio recording a lesson and listening to part of all the cassettes as a kind of reality check. An audio or video recording plus a commentary on it, for example, could be included in the portfolio. Okay, this one is example of lesson report. This is written by a teacher who watched her videotape class when she was teaching EFL in Seoul, Korea. She also comments about what she realized after writing the lesson report. Okay, I videotaped myself for 20 minutes. When the class was finished, I replayed the video, made notes of what happened. And then the class, there are 15 students registered for this low intermediate conversation class. The students are from different majors in the arts and the science and very motivated to learn how to speak English. This is week 7 out of an 8-week term. And then in the class activity report, the style I use is familiar to the students as I always divide the text in half and each of the pairs of students read one half of the text aloud. I called on the best students, Caroline, to read aloud so that I could ensure success. However, I was surprised when Caroline looked down and did not immediately answer. I waited briefly and then made the gesture I always make with this direction. Caroline looked up and answered with change. I wondered if she had some problems with understanding the instructions. And then this is the total time lasted about 2 minutes 45 seconds. And then later in the same lessons, we discussed the comprehension question. I said, Caroline, would you read question number 1 to help us focus? And then Caroline read her answer. I reminded her again to read only number 1. And then Caroline explains her answer. So the teacher helped clarify whether opera's most impressive achievement, which is the topic for the discussion. And then the teacher asked Jack to read question number 2 to help us focus. And then the teacher interrupt and remind Jack to read question number 2 first before giving his answer in order to help the class focus. I correct a mistake made by Jack by writing the mistake and then correcting it by crossing out the mistake. So this is lasted about 6 minutes or the total is 15 minutes. And then the evaluation, what I learned from this reflection. From reading my lesson report, I learned that Caroline needed support with specific vocabulary. I learned that Jack does not understand the task and forgets the specific directions, or he feels that he must complete a larger quantity of reading. After watching the video, I was impressed by how eager Jack was to answer my question correctly when we worked through the direction for reading and the comprehension question. Okay, from now on, the teacher said that I will encourage my students to ask me questions if they do not understand, so that they do not have to suppose too much like Jet did. So I will also continue designing interesting warm-up reviews because this gives students a chance to listen again to familiar and recently learned vocabulary and structures. This is the evaluation. I think that's all from my material. We only open 3 questions. If there anyone wants
Okay.
to ask,
Can I ask the first question, please?
yes. Can you type in the chat room?
Okay, I'll type it. But I also want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
tell.
Yes, go ahead.
Um, so there are many words on your PowerPoint, so I got confused about that. So I just want to ask you that there are three things that teachers can do in the classroom for self-monitoring, such as, for example, lesson reports, audio recording reports, and video recording reports.
Yes.
So my question is, how to make the teaching and learning process in the classroom natural when we use video recording lessons? Thank you.
Natural.
Yeah, I have typed the question.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Hmm.
The next question.
The next question, please. Okay, Mbak Sikin.
Yes, Mbak Rani.
I will try to.
I can't hear you, Miss Rani.
Okay. In how to make the teaching and learning process in the classroom natural when we use video recording lesson. Uh, you mean that when we put the camera when we teach like that?
Halo, Mbak Rani.
Mbak Rani, are you there?
Yes. So it can be natural if you if you if you and the students already made the video recording before. You already make several times for video recording lessons, so it become natural. So the student must be used to it. I mean, they should terbiasa gitu, Mbak. Do you get my point, Basikin?
Yes, maybe Mbak Rahmatia wants to add more.
Hmm, do you mean by the the classroom? Sorry. How to make the teaching and learning process in the classroom natural? What do you mean by natural?
Okay, like this. When we teach the students in the classroom, when someone recorded the teaching learning process, maybe the points of view of the students may be different from the common
You mean
activities.
that like they behave different when it is recorded and it is when it is not?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I
you can
think
use three pots, Mbak. Usually, in my classroom, sometimes we use three pots for recording the video and then give to um, my headmaster. So I did the video recording lesson several times, and then my students already get used to it. So it becomes natural in the classroom. So if you and your students get used to it, so it becomes natural. But for the first time, maybe yeah, maybe their gestures, and then maybe they can
yeah,
move and walking around and like that. But if you and your students get used to it, and then when they see there is three pods on the classroom, so they already know, oh, teacher wants to make a video recording, so they tend to uh, sit down nicely and then listen to me very
mm-hmm.
well.
They behave
So
differently.
uh, you should get used to it with your students, because I did this in the classroom several times. But for the first time, yes, I know. Um, for myself, I also not get used to the camera with the video recording, but several times we tried with my students. We are used to it, and we are okay with the camera now.
I
What?
think that answers your question, Mbak Sikin.
How
Uh,
about that, Mbak Sikin?
so I would like to know,
Yes,
when you put the tripod,
yes.
uh, how many tripods that you use in the classroom? Because we know that video,
We have three tripods, two in front and then one in the back.
the video recording can have I can record all the activities in the classroom
Yeah,
clearly.
because
Like that.
the schools provide the camera and then provides the tripods, so the teachers only use the the things for teaching. So the schools already give the facilities to us, so we only use it. So I use three ports and the three cameras, two in the front of the class and then one is in the back. So when I put when I and my homeroom teachers put the three ports, my students already know that there is gonna be video recording. They get used to it.
Okay, thank you very much for the explanation. Uh, I think that maybe if you want to add more explanation about how about the teachers that they didn't get the support or the facilities from the school like that, how they can have their self monitoring like that.
Oh, if the headmasters ask the video recording about your teaching, so in my school, I just go to the storeroom. I just go to the room and then ask to the staff, and then the staff will give me. So if the teachers want to learn some tools for teaching. So actually, the teachers just go to that room and then ask the staff for it. So the schools already provide the facilities in my school.
So do you mean that when teachers didn't get any support or the facilities from the school, maybe they can make their own initiative like
But as long as I've been here, I I never heard about that the teachers do not get the facilities as long as I've been here. Because
okay thank mhm.
yeah, because this is a big school, so they support and provides all the facilities.
Okay, so I got the point that we must to
Get
make
used to it.
the video recording as the common activities like that.
Uh, yeah, I did it. I did the video recording because my master wants to see my teaching. If my
Okay,
master, yeah, okay, thank you.
thank you Mbak Rani and Mbak Tia.
Thank you so much. Another question, please.
Uh,
Hmm,
Mbak Gimi, Bu Gimi, do you want
ya,
to ask something?
Mbak Rani, Mbak Rahmatia.
Yeah, Mbak.
Uh, for first presentation, uh, I'm coming later, so I do not know from the earlier, but
Mm-hmm.
I will try to ask this about the self monitoring. Is this to understand the individual or group uh, to perceive their action. So it is commonly spontaneously or by control, because you're recorded there in, as mentioned, that in the lesson and video or audio. Uh, so what are the self monitoring skill? It is we have it is it is means we have to have skill on that, the self monitoring, because we are using the some tools.
No. Self-monitoring here means that we it is intended for this purpose, and I mean, like in self-monitoring, we recorded our sorry. Can you show my PowerPoint again, Mbak Rahel? Mbak Rahel, are you there?
Ya, ya, bentar.
Uh, on the first slide.
The nature of self-monitoring.
The third slide, the next slide, Yeah. Can you, the definition of, yeah. Okay, Mbak Gimi, as you can see here, self-monitoring is not AKA self-observation that refers to a systematic approach to the observation, evaluation, and management of one's own behavior in order to achieve a better understanding and control over the behavior. Next to the second definition, self-monitoring is based on the view that in order to better understand one's teaching and one's strengths and weaknesses as a teacher. So during our teaching time, if you want to know that your weaknesses, your strengths during your teaching, you can use self-monitoring itself by video recording. Yes, from that recording, you can better understand your weaknesses and strength and improve your skill in teaching itself. I think that's all from my side.
Okay, Rahmatia. Okay, I will try to use the Indonesian. Berarti kan di situ self monitoring adalah because it is mentioned of memantau diri sendiri, ya kan ya? Because self observation, memantau diri sendiri dengan tuntutan situasi sosial gitu, dengan tuntutan situasi kelas.
Iya.
Ya. Nah, itu kan tadi disampaikan use the video, audio, the listen. That is the tools to use the self monitoring, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So my question is, berarti self monitoring butuh keterampilan, butuh skills, ya. Itu yang
what kind of skill?
Apakah begitu atau gimana? Padahal self monitoring bisa can be spontan sometimes the student maybe express spontaneously or he control maybe one student ask some things, explore some problem in the class or discuss. It is by control. Or I do not know. Can you tell us if it's the correct about the video, audio, and the self monitoring itself? Thank you.
So is it enough to answer your question, Bu Gimi?
It is okay. But I still confused about because memantau diri sendiri, ya. Apakah harus menggunakan video, audio? Itu yang saya jadi bingung gitu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Mbak Gimi. Just to make sure,
mungkin
kalau
Bu Gimi menggunakan,
ya bisa dijelaskan oleh Mbak Rani. Silahkan Mbak Rani kalau mau.
Go ahead Mbak Tia.
Tadi lupa aku tadi.
Sorry.
Tadi ini ya. Jadi bisa dilakukan secara audio, video.
Campur aduk ya bahasanya.
Maaf ya, saya pakai bahasa Indo. Jadi supaya kita bisa lihat lagi. Jadi kekurangannya kita itu gimana. Kalau kita nggak audio record atau video record, jadi kan kita sebatas diingatan saja. Oh, kayaknya saya kurangnya di sini, kelebihannya di sini. Jadi just to make sure we have the objective account itu, Jadi kita bisa melihat untuk memahami
Kurangannya apa,
itu.
kelebihannya apa gitu ya.
Iya gitu Mbak.
Oke. Tapi gini, kalau kayak artis ya, kayak artis, itu berarti kan dia by kontrol. Dia memerankan sesuatu dengan kontrol gitu. Tapi kadang kan, aku nggak tahu deh. Thank you.
Cuma gini. Maybe Mbak Rani wants to add the answer or explanation, please.
Ya, jadi can I explain in bahasa?
Yes, sure.
Okay, as long as we understand.
Jadi kan yang seperti yang udah dibilang sama Mbak Tia itu, apa sih gunanya kita self monitoring menggunakan video atau audio? Ya fungsinya itu supaya kita bisa merefleksikan lagi, ternyata di sini ya ternyata kesalahan saya. Jadinya kita tuh bisa memperbaiki setelah melihat dari video atau mendengarkan dari audio tersebut. Kalau misalnya yang Ibu Jimmy bilang yang kalau artis itu kan berarti itu by control gitu kan, kayak cara pengucapan dia, misalnya dia nggak boleh berkata kasar di depan publik gitu kan, itu kan emang by control ya Bu, karena dia di bawah manajemennya. Jadi karena dia apa namanya, public figure, otomatis itu semua yang ada pada dirinya kan menjadi sorotan. Kalau misalnya dia berkata yang tidak senonoh, itu kan pasti juga ada dampak negatif juga bagi dia dan manajemennya. Jadi tentu saja self monitoring bagi artis itu sudah ada yang mengontrolnya Bu Jimmy. Bukan dari dianya sendiri, tapi dari diri dia sendiri juga bisa, tapi kan lebih banyak dari misalnya dari manajer dia yang mengingatkan gitu. Kalau kita sebagai guru kan kitanya sendiri yang self monitoringnya gitu, bukan dari atasan kita atau dari rekan kerja kita begitu, dari kesadaran kita sendiri gitu Bu Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Can I add some?
Yes,
Yeah,
please,
yes,
Mbak
it's
Sikin.
okay. You can share anything, so we will read on our mind.
Okay, from my understanding about self-monitoring, I think this is the initiative of the teachers itself, because when we want to know more about our teaching learning process, we need to make our own self monitoring, because it is not only depend on supervisor or headmaster to revise our teaching learning process, so we can make it for ourselves, and then we can watch the video recording or we can hear the audio recording to improve our teaching learning process when we watch or when we listen the audio recording like that.
Yeah, thank you Mbak Sikin.
Yes, thank you, Mbak Rani.
Sebenarnya kita tuh nggak cuma menggunakan self monitoring dalam kasus teaching aja, bisa contohnya di our everyday life. Misalnya sebagai contoh, if someone I do not like gets fired from her job or his job, and I see her at the store misalnya, I could pretend to be sad or to be sad or upset for her when I really do not care that she was fired. So self monitoring Also, also pretend. What I mean is, so we can express my feelings like pretend in everyday life. Contohnya. Or for example, if I feel angry at my if I feel angry to my friend or my headmaster for not supporting me at the meeting, so I have several different ways that I can express my feelings. Like I can tell him that I am angry, or I could pretend as if I am happy with this action. So I can pretend as if I am not angry. So I can choose to use my self-monitoring depends on the context as well as the relationships I have with my headmaster. Do you get the point? Hello.
Yes. I still confused about the pretend. What do you mean by pretend?
I mean, the self monitoring. So we can control we can control it if you cannot show your anger, maybe to maybe you don't want to show your anger to your boss because you do not invite to a meeting, for example, but you pretend to be okay with him because you you control your own self monitoring. So you just pretend that you are okay, but
It
deep inside you are angry with him.
it means that when we use the video recording or audio recording, we can control our self monitoring because we realize that it is recorded like that.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you,
because
Mbak Rani.
yeah, because you know that you are being recorded, so you control by yourself. Is it also same with the actor or the actress? Uh, they uh, they did a self monitor because maybe the actress or the actor knows that uh, the paparazzi is everywhere, so they should make a uh, good good conversation to maybe in the social media or in the public area, so they can control by themselves. Maybe anyone wants to add some information?
I think that's enough for the answer from Mbak Siti.
Yes, I think so because
Thank
self
you, Basikim.
monitoring benefited for the students and the teachers also.
Yeah, maybe Mbak Bu Gini wants to add more explanation. So there's no question anymore.
Yes.
Can I ask question?
Okay.
Yes, sure.
Yes, please.
Okay, self-monitoring, yeah. My okay. There is a checklist and questionnaires, yeah.
Yep.
Hey, okay. There's a part checklist and modules. About checklist, here, checklist is just focused on one aspect of the lesson. For example, in speaking pronunciation, in the speaking as speaking lesson, yeah, and it is special for the pronunciation. aspect. There is a drillings in the how do we I mean how in the speaking aspect there is a drilling. Can you give example how do you apply the drillings in the activities of the class in the speaking, and give me some example of how do we monitor that activities. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Sophie, for the question. I will try to answer with my understanding. So, as we know that drilling is a way of standardizing pronunciation of language item, right? So, and then your question is, how do you drill it in the activity, right? Mbak Sophie, is that your
Yes, yes,
question?
yes.
Okay. Actually, it depends on what you are drilling. So, if the language item is the target language for the lesson, for example, grammatical structure, grammatical structure. And then drilling is usually done uh, after this has been presented by you. Okay, like for in the lessons, drilling gives the learners extremely controlled practice of using the target language. So if the language you are drilling is vocabulary or grammatical structure, then you might do a quick drill. You might do a quick drill as the word or expression comes up. For example, while teaching vocabulary for a reading activity or during a late in a task, and then repeat it again at the end of the lesson during a recap of new vocabulary. In the activity, for example, get the class to stand up and maybe come to the front of the class in semicircle, for example, and then somehow you can lift the energy levels. And then you should try to be clear and then confident with the objective of the activity, and then your students or the learners then repeat your model. Like if you mumble, for example, if you mumble and then the student cannot hear you, and then uh, it actually defeats the object, right? So you say the example for 3 times. For the example, if you mumble and then your students cannot hear you or um, cannot get what you deliver to the students, and then you say the word again 3 times, for example. Uh, and then maybe uh, maybe that's from my best my
Yeah,
understanding,
yeah.
Mbak
I
Sophie.
got the point already, Mbak Rani. Thank you, Mbak Rani.
Thank you, Mbak Sophie.
I think, guys, the time has finished. It's already 5.
Okay, guys, if there is no question anymore, maybe we close this presentation by writing hamdalah.
Alhamdulillahirobbilalamin.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm sorry for the mistakes that we made. Thank you.
Oke, Mbak Rani.